So here was the other AMD line that was active today over here in the 60s. This NAT was super active today. Rolling calls early on.
So it's Tuesday, so off market in about 10 minutes' time. We are going to be expecting the inventory data ahead of tomorrow's DOE report. In terms of the expectations this week, crude stocks seen building 10.6 million, gasoline stocks seen building 0.5 million.
What else was active? These cruise lines. I still don't know when they're releasing earnings. I don't think anybody does, but they were active today. The airlines, squeeze players active there. The banks were strong. Yesterday we saw some bank flow, but today nothing really interesting. What else? There's tech. Look at that volume on tech. And again, probably profit taking. We'll see how much of it sticks. SDC, they finally caught their squeeze in that thing. Some rolling today, but look like they're remaining bullish rather than just taking profits. But we'll see. And Macy's that caught some bullish activity yesterday. So a little more bull flow with some elite put selling, believe it or not, that could end up replacing equity into earnings. You know what financial, several of you played it. We spoke about it on the, I think it was the Sunday webinar. We mentioned it in the room. The one financial that I'm regretting not playing is this SYF, especially after a couple of you in the room spoke a little bit about the sizzle behind the story there. You had a bull risk reversal hit this thing at a really nice spot. Goldman Sachs had a sweep or two yesterday. Or was that the day before? I don't even know. AMD, are we sure it's today? Maybe next Tuesday, AMD. Starbucks missed. Starbucks caught an October sweep yesterday. Obviously, earnings related. And oh, there goes AMD. Down she goes.
And AMD numbers just crossing now non-GAAP 18 cents in line with the estimate. 18 cents is in line with the estimate. And revenue at 1.79 billion, more or less in line. The street was looking for 1.78 from AMD. So in line EPS and in line revenues from AMD.
In line is not going to cut it, Mr. AMD. Not when you're trading at highs, for Christ's sake.
AMD currently down around 2% in after hours. Not really seeing much more than the top and bottom lines at the moment, so we are on the lookout.
That's not even a big move. They could end up going green.
Okay, just starting to see some of these metrics across now. Quarterly computing and graphics segment revenue, 1.04 billion, that's up 73% year over year.
All right, case closed. Nothing too exciting anywhere. Google, a little green, but not much. It was down the same amount today. All right, let's talk a little bit about the market. Let me lower the volume on these. Yes, that's a good reminder. Anybody who's new, go to wallstreetjesus.com. You'll get more information there. Get rid of this here. All right, let's talk a little bit about the market here. And kind of where we left off Sunday and how things are playing out the first couple days of the week, and any major changes to what we were looking for coming into this week. So basically, on Sunday we spoke about how the backdrop is still bullish. All right, I'm going to show you guys 2 or 3 charts, screenshots, however you want to call them. That's you're going to get the understanding of why the backdrop is still bullish out there. Okay, and there's several factors right now that set up a bullish picture overall. Okay, but we are active, right? We trade, we play a lot, and we also have to take into account the shorter term view as far as sentiment is concerned, because that's going to help us out a lot with our entries. All right, and especially those of us who play options, swing options, the entries are quite important. Okay, so even though the backdrop of things is still bullish, okay, and we'll go over that in a few minutes. What we ran into, because more so the strength of the market, and I think just not a lot of players involved, that and a lot of shorts, still short stocks, okay? They're still short. And when you get these rallies and these squeezes, like we saw over the course of, yesterday or even the week prior, you see the option market, especially option sentiment, really start to heat up, okay? Because what happens is shorts have to hedge off their risk, right? If I'm short Microsoft or I'm short the Qs and they gap it up and squeeze it in my face, the only way I can realistically hedge some of my risk is by sweeping calls, okay? And what happens is when we see that, you're also going to see some of the shorter term sentiment signals start to heat up when things get a little extended. All right. And, we spoke about it Sunday where at some point, okay, and we were hoping that either the Fed or earnings would end up being the catalyst, but at some point we would need to see some rotation, all right, for us to realistically look at anything on the long side, okay, even tactically in a sense, any overnight possible opportunities. If we were going to consider anything on the long side with a half decent risk reward, we would have to see some rotation out of all the stuff that they've been tattooing for the 3-4 weeks straight now, right? And that's tech, the stay-at-home plays, high beta, all those riffraff favorite names, right, that you constantly hear about and see on Twitter. All that, some money would need to start to come out of that stuff and rotate into everything or some of what has been left behind, okay? And when you have a market like that, and we talked about that as well, as far as the breadth being poor, right? There were a lot of notes. One out of Goldman was a popular one of how, the majority of gains were concentrated, right? Comparing it to the tech bubble in 2000, the Nifty 50 and stuff like that. You can't look at the whole entire market, all right? And in other words, what I'm trying to get at is if sentiment's hot, right? And you see concentration in certain names in certain sectors of the market, it doesn't, just logic applies that you have to take notice and understand that when you see tactical sentiment get hot, that doesn't mean a name still trading at lows that hasn't rallied one tick, since this rally started, falls under the same roof, right? But when we see tactical sentiment heat up, right, and that's the squeezometer we look at, the tactical trader sentiment we look at, any name that has been littered with call sweeper activity, right, any groups, any name, and you just pull up a chart and you see the extension there, okay? That's the stuff you got to be really, really careful about if you have any interest in playing. All right. Even if you're looking to be quick, right? Even if you're looking to remain tactical in these names, the last thing you want to do is chase green, because you ever notice all these reversals, right? Stock will be up, gap up, a name that's been hot, gap up into hot tactical sentiment, and then you get these reversals out of nowhere, right? You turn your head for a second, and the stock goes from plus 3-4 to down 3-4, okay? And that has a tendency to happen often when sentiment gets hot, all right? So that's where we came into the week with that type of setup, right? Stay away from some of the hotter stuff out there, and if we see some decent flow that can create some momentum in some of the rotation type names, some of the stuff that's been lagging, right? Be selective, and you may find something interesting. Maybe if you just want to day trade it, or maybe you're looking to swing it over a couple days before they release earnings. You think it's going to squeeze before we'll run up into earnings. So that's the stuff we're kind of focused on now, right? And I think for the foreseeable future. But the good thing is these tech names, the names you guys like to trade, have already been digesting and consolidating, right? I mean, we talked about this morning. Like, look at Netflix. Okay, so even as some of the other names in tech, right, and I say tech, but high beta, all the stuff that's been hot, biotech, even though some of, a good portion of it was still running, right, this thing hit the brakes off that niner and earnings, and, little by little has been pulling here, right? And so far, it looks like a healthy breather to me. All right, so that's the good thing that's happening right now, and has been happening the start of this week already, is we're starting to see breathers in the things that need to breathe. Okay, and like, for example, while this is going on and being earnings season, and I promised myself I'm not going to go into an earnings season rant again, but without any rotation going on, if this was just taking place where these things needed to breathe with short-term sentiment the way it was, coming into today, that's where the majority of the time I'm just sitting on my hands and I don't do a thing. I'm not doing a thing. And the reason being is, sentiment, if the obvious is not obvious to me already, sentiment's telling me to stay away from the stuff that's been already tattooed and has already run, okay? Especially that they may have earnings coming up. And I'm not just going to go and create my own longs out there, right? Because I'm looking for momentum. And momentum is not an easy thing to find when you have a market like this that money's rotating around, right? That's the beauty of sweeper activity, in my opinion. It finds momentum for us. Okay, not everything is going to move as much as we would like, but you guys hear me talk about that all the time. Sweepers, especially those short squeeze sweepers or momentum sweepers, I call them a lot of times, right? Those small, short-dated sweeps, okay? That's the first thing that should come to your head when you see those sweeps hitting the tape, okay? Momentum, all right? And if we happen to continue to see that, okay, may not be every single day, but if we do see these things go into breather mode and some money, it doesn't even have to be a major rotation, some money just finding spots in some of the cyclicals, the laggards, the banks have caught fire the last couple of days. It'll give us something to do while, especially those of you who like to play these, and I can't blame you. These things are big movers. They're quality names, but it gives you something to try to make a little bit of money with while these things take a much needed breather and consolidate their recent gains. All right. So, and the first thing, the main thing I want to stress to you guys, like, if you're still interested in these names, right? If you just can't play the other stuff for liquidity reasons or whatever the case may be, and everything, your watch list, like I know a lot of you just follow a certain amount of names, all right? And you just want to hit something that's on your watch list, what I would do is I would look, like for example here, you have Netflix, right? You have some weakness, you have a pull. Tomorrow morning you come in, you see a couple of small spec Netflix sweeps, right? Into red or flat, anything but plus 10, okay? Right in this area here, okay? You have a tactical trade for a snapback again, right? So this type of thingy. Okay, and the reason why, you know, you see this happen a lot, right? Because people see this run and shorts want to short, right? And then even if this thing's headed lower, they're not going to make it easy for them. You know that. We talk about that all the time, right? So you get this, and it may not look like much, but if you're buying off sweeper activity, and the sweeper activity is giving the odds a nudge in your favor, that momentum may turn, right? That's the importance of sweeper activity. So you get some sweeper activity off a pull, and you get a bounce back or snap back like this. You know, this is a profitable tactical trade, all right? And that's solely what you would be looking for out of these names while they're in breather mode, okay? And, you know, so you can look at either the other side of rotation or this side here, but you just got to be more patient and look and be patient for setups, okay? The problem comes into the equation is the greed, right? That's always ends up being the problem. You want more, you want new highs, right? That's always the issue. But there are trades, especially when there's rotation out in the markets like we have now, you just got to wait for that better spot, okay? And again, avoid earnings. I mean, earnings are fun, but if you want to play with minimal risk in a period right now while you're waiting for that better setup in names you may follow, you have to avoid, you know, playing earnings. It's a must. All right, unless you're fooling around. Yeah, well, Nick, you know, I used to say that all the time. Earnings were never fun to me because not only would I lose money, I see everybody losing money around me. I never used to see anybody make money. Every time I saw somebody make an earnings score, Nick, they gave it back and then some before they could even enjoy it. Exactly, they're lotto tickets, you know? So if that's how you want to spend your time during earnings season, that's fine. But just make sure you're managing your risk properly. You know, what annoys me more than anything, I swear to God, and nothing, you know, the room, we got tons of people who come in and out of the room, strut their stuff, shorties, bears, you name it, right? But nothing annoys me more than somebody who's been in the room a while or a member of the steam room, and they get buried with earnings. You know, they lose their money or they get knocked out of the game with earnings. Like, you never gave yourself a legitimate shot at this thing. You know, with me ranting in your ear day in, day out. You know, so that's the one thing that bothers me more than anything. But if you do what like Ani just said and you're playing it as a lotto, you know, you take a shot, you're not going to get rich off it. It's not going to knock you out the box. I mean, there's no harm done. All right. So that's what we're looking for anyway. Aside from earnings doesn't come into the equation at all here. This is what we're looking for out of the riffraff names, the high beta names you guys like to trade, right? You want to buy them off weakness and pull for that snapback if you see sweeper activity. All right. The other side, and what a lot of us like to do when we do get rotation, because we don't get it all the time, is action like this. All right, and I just took a couple of other sweeps here so you can get an idea of how they were playing this thing. All right, this is today. This is the tech. All right, so, and here's the difference so you guys know, okay? We came into today, right? I could dig up the indicator, but I can't even, I'm too lazy right now. The squeezometer printed 70 off the open, okay? And we came into today with tactical sentiment hot, right? We got a sell signal last night. Cut and dry, okay? So already I'm coming in gun shy, okay? There has to be something that is the total opposite, looks the total opposite of what sentiment's portraying right now, short-term sentiment, right? Has to be a rotation name. And for me today, another thing, earnings have to be out of the picture. So think about already the criteria that had to be met for me to even entertain the thought of even day trading today because of where sentiment was, okay? But then you get this piece of garbage this morning, all right, tech. And believe it or not, we've done well with this name, trading it, okay? Obviously, anything else but trading it, you'd be in the poorhouse. Look at the spot, right? There's no way, I don't care what you do unless you turn the chart upside down, you can tell me this is a crowded trade and sentiment's hot, right? There's no way in hell, okay? This thing is dead. It hasn't rallied at all. Okay, and this morning, well, I don't remember the time, but it was early morning. All of a sudden, we see rapid fire sweeper activity not coming in to dated strikes, right? They're hitting short dated, cheap spec strikes, okay? But that's what I want to see, all right? Because I'm looking for, we call them squeeze sweepers, right? So, because I'm looking for momentum to come into the picture. This thing's been a dead dog for ages, and I'm looking for sweepers to give me a heads up that some momentum's coming into the picture, okay? There were literally probably 10 sweeps, not all this size, but the list went 10 deep, okay? And you can see not big dollar amounts, but when it was all said and done, okay, after we saw the first couple of sweeps come in, after it was all said and done, this is what it ended up trading here for the day now. $51,000. Okay, 51,000 contracts today. Don't ask me why. All right. So when a name catches that type of heat and you got rotation already in the backdrop, right? New money coming into some of these things. Get this off my screen. Okay. You know, you get a nice reaction. And this thing was a beauty today. You know, it was a beauty. All right. So many of you were asking the question and you all may have different outlooks. All right. Me, I played the equity. Okay. You got a lot of you know already. I like to swing trade options that have some time behind them. Right, off the sharpest activity. I don't like to swing trade spec activity. I like to play the equity. I can be more nimble, less greedy, blah, 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 okay? So for me, today was more than enough with sentiment where it was at for me to take off the table in the equity, okay? For some of you out there, it may not be. Maybe you guys played the calls, maybe you sized down, right? In my opinion, this thing still possibly has upside, right? It hasn't gone anywhere, literally. Earnings are done. If this rotation lives on for a bit, you may see some follow through. All right, but those type of sweeps, what you're looking for is you're looking for what we saw today, and that was an increase in momentum. Momentum showed up. Sometimes it don't show up as strong in the same day as it did here. Okay, but if you manage your risk properly, when it doesn't show up, it's a small loser, a scratch, no harm done. Sometimes you step on some nice winners. All right, so that's what I was looking for today. I wasn't looking to really swing anything. I was looking for a specific criteria, and it fell into my lap. Okay, so going forward, same thing. I'm not looking to chase anything. Right? I'm not looking to play a rotation name that's been up 5 straight days just because it's a rotation name. I'm looking for aggressive activity at a decent spot, and that's solely what I'm looking to play. Okay? And if I don't get that, that's my seatbelt, right? That allows me to be patient and either wait for some digestion and specific names and groups, for sentiment to cool down, or whatever the case may be. All right, so there's a way of being selective and being smart about it so you don't get yourself into trouble. A lot of people get themselves into trouble chasing, right? And buying overextended stuff, because that's when you get pumped up. All right, so anyway, that was the only, you see today's top bets, right? I do this at the end of the day and update it throughout the day when there's enough top bets out there. That was it, okay? Why? Because everything else is earnings related, all right? Here are 3 names that would have made the top bet list if it wasn't for, you know what, okay? Win caught a nice sweep, 600 grand, even though that's peanuts for Win. We've seen 10 times bigger than that in that name when they won it, okay? Baba's getting tattooed, all right? Baba at almost every earnings season, okay? I won't say every, but when there are bulls in Baba, right? When people want to own Baba, have some exposure, and they may be selling equity behind the scenes, we have no way of knowing that. It's very likely that they do. This thing gets annihilated. All right, and we were doing the math. It's probably like 25 million in premium over the last day or two. Yesterday and today in Baba. June 205, September 205s, and there was another line as well. All right, but again, you have earnings there. You know, you have earnings there. If it wasn't earnings season and Baba's catching sweeper activity like that, we're probably all in it for a swing and looking to add on dips of that type of action. All right, but it's not. So hence not making the top bet list. All right, so these were the top earnings bets. You had Win, Baba, and then you had this Google late, 800 grand. Look at the wood he dished out there. These were in the money? Oh, these were right at the money. This Google bet, right at the money. So maybe if he gets a half decent pop out of it, he can make a couple shekels here. Yeah, maybe. All right, so those were the 3 top earnings bets. Okay, earnings related bets. Netflix, good question. The other interesting action today that I have to wait and see for open interest to confirm was Netflix Jan calls, okay? And the reason why couple sweeps, I think it was like four or 5 sweeps in Netflix Jan strikes. They weren't leaps. They were this January, upcoming January. So a nice line, big wood, nice amount of money, okay? But I think there's about 7,500 already in open interest. All right, they look bought to me. They traded offer, okay? But that doesn't always mean they're bought, okay? And the other thing is they may be bought, but it could be an opening call seller that's covering some of that position. You understand? So I could guess and say they look like they were bought, or you can wait for open interest tomorrow morning and I can confirm whether they were bought or not. You know, and if they were, that's some interesting action there. You know, you got some time. That's why it's even worth waiting for confirmation. You got time. They're Januaries. This thing's starting to come in a little bit. You know, you could take it nice and easy. Look to buy into weakness, that sort of thing if you're interested in Netflix. All right, so we'll see tomorrow morning how the open interest looks on that line in Netflix. All right, so we'll see. Those of you who are members will see if today's market made any sort of dent as far as sentiment is concerned. The squeezometer back down into the 50s. So that's a good sign in itself, right? Cooled off some of that heat. But I just want to show you a couple of quick things as far as backdrop is concerned, and then I'll take questions. All right, hang on. Let me post these a second. Bear with me, bear with me. What do I do with it? Goldman comes out weekly with a bunch of sentiment indicators that they run down. Let me, what do I do with it? Somewhere over here, hold on. Here it is. Oh, I could have found it in the search too. I'm so dumb. All right, so here's Goldman, some sentiment indicators they look at, okay? Now, again, tactical sentiment's one thing. We know the reasons why tactical sentiment's heated, okay? But if you think everybody's all in this market right now, you're mistaken, all right? Here, current is the blue diamond, okay? And the orange diamond is where it was a month ago, and the turquoise diamond is where it was 3 months ago. All right, so you basically want to look from a month ago to where it is now, okay? And the dark blue or black diamond, whatever color that may be, is where that indicator currently sits, okay? And the orange where it was. And you can see there's not much difference in a lot of these things here, right? They're still positioned for risk off. All right. So, I mean, for even bear market rallies to really start to roll over, okay, at the minimum, from my experience, you're going to see the majority of these things here. Minimum. Almost every bear market rally that I've been a part of, you start to see at least some of these things all the way here. All right, these things haven't budged. Okay, the only things that have moved is the short-term stuff, especially based on options because of people getting squeezed. All right, make sense? Yeah, what I mean about bear market rally, I give you, like, for example, in 2008, okay, we had several bear market rallies, several. They were vicious, all right? But at the end of each and every one of those rallies, okay, I don't know the final dagger into Armageddon. I'm being honest. I was in my bunker at that point, so I don't remember. That's all a blur to me. I'm being honest. The actual bottom in 2009 is a complete blur to me, okay? Because it was mayhem. But that whole process, there were bear market rallies, okay? And so you guys understand what I'm talking about, bear market rallies. Like, it's not one or the other that people always mistake in markets for, right? So this goes back to what we were talking about 3-4 weeks ago, okay? At the start of, or close to the start of this rally, okay? No matter what, okay? You have this. All right. For this market to go lower, okay, with sentiment where it was here, okay, there would have to be at least something like this we were talking about, okay, to get everybody who was positioned aggressively for more downside to shake them out of their positions, right? If everybody and their mother is positioned for more downside here, they're not long any equities, they're short, they're defensive, they're in bonds, they're in money markets, right? The odds of another move lower stemming from there are extremely slim. All right? And not only is that, you know, a fact, if you go back and look in time throughout the history of the market, I can tell you from my experience, where there's no better proof than your eyeballs, okay? Over the 20 plus years that I've been watching markets, okay, I've never seen sentiment at such extreme positioning. I'm talking about again now, okay? And you, all of a sudden you roll over and the market just unravels and falls apart, okay? Some markets went a little bit lower, but then like a slingshot rallied higher, you know? So what I was explaining to you guys at that time, if you remember, that at the least you will have something like this, maybe choppier. Sometimes it's a sharper rally, right? But you will have something like this. Okay, the likelihood is it plays out because sentiment was so bearish, it's going to be more of a time thing than even a percentage gain per se. Okay, because it takes time to unravel those bearish positions. All right, and then when people finally say, okay, this market, there's no double bottom test coming, there's no retest coming, or the bears think the Fed rigged the market and there's no way this thing's going lower. When they come to that conclusion and they give up on those positions or loosen up those positions, if this market has intentions of going lower, then it can go lower. All right, I get the perma bull label because, you know, people think that I can say that I'm saying the market can never go lower. I'm just saying the market can never go lower when everybody and their mother's positioned for it to go lower. All right, so the point in what I'm trying to explain to you here now, okay, still, even considering the rally here, right, and you can see it right here, it's not just one indicator, fluky. There's a lot of sentiment readings on here that basically are showing you there's still way too many bears out there. They can talk all words, you can say anything, right? People on Twitter can say all they want, bullish, bearish, my ass. Put your money behind your mouth is a whole different story. All right, so this is my point here. Another thing, you know, which is just mind-boggling is this here. Hold on. All right, and there are several things. We don't need to go over all this again. You know, we've been going over for the last 3-4 weeks, but I just want people to understand, just because short-term tactical sentiment is hot, that could get washed out quickly. All right, where's the, hold on, I got one more to see here, and this, you'll see what I did with it, damn it. Oh, here it is. You guys probably seen this. I posted it. Some others have posted it as well. Where is it? Here. All right, that's money market. People going into cash. All right, does that look like people are all bulled up to you? It doesn't, right? The total opposite. Total opposite. So think about that now, okay? There's a lot of money out there on the sidelines parked in that just went into money markets and want nothing to do with equities or anything for that matter. All right, so the bottom line is, from my experience, when you see things like this, okay, when you see things like this, there's one thing you worry about, and that's a credit crisis, something that nobody has control over, right? If you have credit imploding and things exploding all around you, right, the market, nothing means anything because you have all-out liquidation, okay? But that's been taken out of the picture with the Fed now, right? That's why it was so important for the Fed to do what they did so quick. That's been taken out of the equation now. The Fed basically is backstopping that right now. All right, so we literally have to look through bullish lenses on any weakness. And the key word is weakness. That becomes the problem, right? Weakness. Because you never know how much weakness you're going to get, right? I'm sure a lot of us were looking for more weakness than that, for Christ's sake, right? You never know how much weakness is in store. But the key thing is when things are selling, that's where you want to pay attention to the flow and start looking for things to buy, whether it's tactical, whether it's positions, whatever it is you do. Weakness is your best friend when you have a backdrop like this. And until we start to see the things we look at daily, at least I look at them daily, still we start to see some of these things change. We can't get distracted from the rest of the noise out there, okay? And the point of this too is what I'm saying is, tactical is one thing, right? If you're coming in today and you're looking for reversal in the market or in the hot stuff, okay, based on tactical sentiment being hot, and you want to catch, a quick short or puts or whatever the case, that's one thing, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's one thing. But for you to get all riled up and get lured into a bearish play you don't want to be looking to do that when sentiment looks like this, when the backdrop looks like that. Okay, even if you're wrong, even if this time you're wrong, okay, trust me, over the years you're around in this game, you do not want to make it a habit of getting bearish when stuff looks like this. It's easy to get bearish. Weakness, I wish I could say the word more weakness. That's been the problem, Tim. You know that. It's been the problem. You never get enough weakness. And then when weakness comes around, you get a little scared to buy it anyway. But anyway, so let me tell you what I'm doing, and then you guys, just how I'm playing things, and you could take away from, and apply it to whatever strategy you have. It's obviously earnings season. I think I've made that clear. We all know that, right? I trimmed, as we spoke about, I've trimmed some of the swing long positions I've been in because I don't want to take that risk of holding into earnings, right? I sold the majority of it. I sold last week. I sold some stuff yesterday. I'm holding a couple that I like the action and I got decent time with. Trip, okay, is one. We've been talking about that action. And I got some Boeing, and I got Boeing Septembers that I rolled once in, okay? Probably should have took the whole thing, but that's a whole other story. All right, so that's the stuff I'm holding through. A lot of the stuff I sold, even though it's over the last week, is higher than what I sold magically. It always seems to happen that way, okay? But what I want to do is I want to refresh some ammo, okay? I even sold McDonald's, believe it or not, which I may end up regretting. All right, but what I want to do is I want to refresh some of my ammo, right? And really start to pay attention to some of the post-earnings flow that comes in and be ready to swing at things that look juicy. Because there's a lot of stuff in this market that has been really ignored, and maybe they come after it. It's a lot of economically sensitive stuff. I mean, there's at least a mean reversion trade there that we're sort of seeing happen in a smaller fashion, okay? But there's going to be one thing or another on the long side. There should be anyway. There's either going to be that rotation or some of the names that we want to own that got too hot are going to end up breathing and set up some quality entries again. You know, so I rather almost have a somewhat fresh start post earnings than get caught up in giving back profits on stuff that's up because of earnings, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's what I've done. The majority of stuff that I'm doing right now, since we're in the heart of earnings season, I'm just actively trading. Okay, I'm not really looking to swing too much until we get through at least the next week or two of earnings, and that's where most of the flow will show up from if it does. And that's it. All right. Anybody have any questions? LVS I actually sold, but I rolled some of it into September's. Hussein, I mentioned that on private Twitter and in the room yesterday. I don't know if you caught that. But you know why? I'll tell you why. I was going to roll the whole thing into September's. The only reason I didn't, and it could backfire, is because wind reports. So it has some earnings risk to it, and they're June's. You understand? So that's the problem. If you realize, like, the stuff I have time with, Hussein, the stuff I have time with that really catches that special action, I give a leash to. The stuff I don't have as much time to, if I can avoid earnings and stuff like that, I try my best to do that. Yeah, Boeing, Chris, I'm swinging Boeing off some quality sweeper activity in September's. From anybody know roundabout date? I've been up and down on those calls like 3 times already, and now I'm down again on them. But I did roll and put a little money in my pocket, so I don't know exactly what I would be down, but I am down on them. But they're September's. Initially they were the 140 line, right, Tree? I think I rolled out of that line, though. Yeah. Do you remember the roundabout date, Tree? A roundabout? Time goes by so quick, I have no idea. Could be last week, could be last year, for all I know, Tree. That's what these weeks go by so damn quick. All right, but Chris, the thing I would focus on would be probably, in my opinion, September as a month to shoot for. You want to stay in that vicinity. The tankers, I only a little equity, and I didn't get paid on any of them, if that's what you're asking me. I had a little STNG, but didn't really cash a big ticket there. I had equity there. This NAT, I didn't play at all. So no, to answer your question, I didn't make money on these tankers, unfortunately. There were some big moves. Trip caught probably, I think it's 3 rounds of action right now. They initially, was it here or here? No, it was here, right? I think it was over here. One of these lows. But they initially came into the lows over here somewhere. And they've been adding ever since. Bullish risk reversals for the most part. All right, so I'm still holding that, mostly because I like the action and I don't mind losing my money off that type of action ever. You know, so I'm looking for more reward. Like, I wouldn't sell it if this thing popped either. So yeah, risk reversals are actually quite easy to understand if you look at it through Degenerate point of view. Ready? When you sell puts, WM, you take in money, right? You're selling puts. People bought those puts. They pay you for those puts. Okay? So think of, you're bullish enough to sell those puts And with that premium you take in, you're going to wager that premium on upside calls. Okay? Some people will sell puts, take the money, and walk away. Right? You have to be pretty bullish to take in that premium, take that risk, take that premium in, and risk it on upside calls. So that's the juice behind the risk reversals. What's Lucci calls it? What does he call it? Double Long John Silver or something? Something to that effect. So you're looking for the double. You have, simply put, you have a lot of confidence in it. You know, because if you're selling puts alone, you're pretty bullish, right? If you're buying calls, you're pretty bullish. You're doing both, double the pleasure. Yeah, Ani, did you catch that SDC? Did any of you guys happen to wait it out and catch some more of this SDC? I didn't catch any swing on this SDC. I didn't catch anything for a swing. Unbelievable. Me too. That's what I've been doing. I day traded it a couple times and made some money with it. But I didn't swing any calls at all. The squeeze names, yeah, a lot of them. Well, that's the thing. Like John, I agree. Like you see, a lot of these squeeze names, you're right. Some of them already are heating up. That's why when this tech came in today, like, you know what I mean? It was least expected. A name would look like that, no earnings, and catch that type of sweeper activity. Like, I was shocked by it. But I agree with you. There's a lot of stuff that's, you know, not going to be at ideal spots when we're at the highest point in a rally. You know, we need to see new names. So, you know, hopefully we start to see that as earnings season dies down. Yeah, BKNG, you could talk to Tim about that. It just doesn't catch sweeper activity, unfortunately. Like, there's been 3 bets, wise guy bets in BKNG in its career, and those 3 have been money. Just go to the window and collect your money if they hit BKNG. Right, they go minimum 5 to 15 times, as Tim just said. But we haven't seen one. Tim, how long is it now? I mean, you're talking about 3 years, right? At least has to be 3 years. Has to be. Nick, yeah, I just spoke about Baba being earnings related action. You know, so it just, you can't put it in the same category if it wasn't earnings and it was catching that type of action. You know, if Baba was catching that type of action without earnings, I'd be in it, and I'd make sure we were all in it. Baba's earnings, Baba's weird with earnings, with the dates. I never get the right date, but May. I got May 11th. But who knows? Stop it. What? You that's the order from back in the day or no? Get out of here. So Tim found the last BKNG bet. Is that nuts? That's hysterical. So they bought March 2100 calls at 841. What, the 70? Oh, God. I remember it was, you know, it's like a inside joke of the room. Tim was like, he would keep asking any BKNG action from literally that day up until I think he quit asking maybe a couple months ago. He finally gave up asking. Every single day he would ask. You know, yeah. So Nick, I just again earnings. I just take it down a notch. You know, if you want, are you looking to play a run up into earnings, Nick? Like what are you looking for there? You want to make an earnings bet? Oh, Baba is known. That's what I was saying. Baba is known to catch some ridiculous size around earnings. It's got a reputation for that. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. If you're like what I would use it if you're gonna roll the dice and make an earnings bet, you know, you're looking to play Baba for earnings, you know, it's a confidence booster type of thing, like Kevin said, like maybe the Google bet today. But other than that, I wouldn't put too much behind it. I've seen big size go down earnings a lot more than it usually would. You know? And not only that, it's not only just wins and losses. It's tough to trust, you know, knowing that a lot of it they're just replacing equity with. Oh, Costco was a block. Otherwise, if Costco was a sweep, I would have been talking about it. They reported already. That's a block. Yeah, that's why I didn't talk about it, Bruce. I try not to even mention the blocks so you guys get used to that. You know? That's another thing too. For those of you who are members, and I know you guys, a lot of you guys like to ask if there's action in a name you may be in. Okay, I am not, and I'm not being arrogant here. I think it's more maybe of how much a loser I may be, but I am not missing any bull missile in any name. Okay. So don't think I'm going to be sitting here and there's going to be a sweep in Boeing or Costco and I'm just going to forget to mention it. There is no shot in hell of that happening. No shot in hell. Now, there may be volume, right? There may be some volume on a line and I didn't talk about it. You know, that sort of thing. But that's not what you want to be focused on anyway. But, you know, what a lot of people have a tendency to doing, they may be in Costco, okay, and they're underwater, and they want to see action there to make them feel better about their position. But what the hell are you doing that for anyhow? That's not a good thing. You know, that's not a good thing. The best action, I will always say, the best action, okay, and this is the way I treat it, always comes to you. Always comes to you. Not you looking for the action. Because when you're all jumped up on something, you can make anything look good. A block, a tied block. Oh, well, maybe it's tied to this, but this and that and that and that. You know, anything. The best action, sweeper-wise, is the stuff that comes to you. And a lot of times, from my experience, it's the stuff that you least expect when you never expect it come to you. All right, but there's nothing wrong with having a hit list. I told you, I have a good buddy of mine who kills it doing it that way. Every night, he has a hit list of names that if there's sweeper activity there, he's ready to fire. Tim does that too. Option trader in the room. Okay, I'm not saying that, you know, but when you're looking, when you got to go out of your way to ask me if there's any action in XYZ, whatever answer I'm going to give you is a waste of your time anyway. You know, so big deal. There's volume in some weeklies. That could be some schmuck down the block from you doing it. You know, what good is that? Went to 150. That's all, from 150. Now you know the reason why you kept asking for it. But like Nixon, maybe we're due. Maybe we're due. Google, they got a conference call going on now. Oh, he's going to make some money, that little piker. Now, that was a nice bet, right? It was like 800 bananas. He snuck it in late. Yeah. What else? What are the names? Any names you guys are eyeing, or any names? Amazon is with the rest of them, needs a little breather here. It's already doing it, I think, right? The airlines, they caught squeeze action. Yeah, Amazon just breathing. You got American Airlines still needs to report. Who asked me that? Where was that? Delta, somebody asked me. I missed it. Where is it? Oh, then you have AAL that still needs to report. Otherwise, I would say for a squeeze, it looks really, really interesting. Is it AAL? Yeah, AAL right here. So what's going on now, basically, so you know the difference, right? Yeah, but to me, it's not as big of a deal because it's spec action, and what it very easily could be and probably is somebody who's short Delta, or even the airlines in a basket, is hedging off some short-term risk by sweeping, cheap stuff call side. You understand? So now let's put a hypothetical. Let's say nobody had earnings. Okay? No, there was no catalyst out there. All right? And you start to see action like that come in off this type of setup. Then, in my opinion, if you liked it, it's worth a squeeze play. You understand? It's worth a shot, making a bet that momentum might enter the picture. But there's a known catalyst out there, and a big one in earnings. So that's the only thing. Yeah, you're looking for just a quickie, right? So that's the only thing. They may squeeze anyway, because there's a lot of heat in all these things. So you may get a squeeze anyway out of these things before earnings. When did I say it was? May. Oh, you only got a couple days. You only got a couple days there. Who reported? A few of them reported already, right? It didn't make a difference. LUV reported today. I mean, Dad, I've seen worse, Dad. You know what I mean? It's not like you're buying something extended into earnings. A lot of these names have already reported, and they're just so beat up. Where are they going to go? And that's why they're catching a little interest here. Yeah, the cruise line, same thing. I don't know when they report is the problem. Anybody know when RCL caught some decent action too? Do they report? Does it matter? I don't even know. That's the problem with these things. CCL had a couple decent squeezes here and there. RCL I heard tomorrow, but no, this CCL was battered even before earnings. Here's earnings, John. These things, I read an article that if the Fed didn't do what it did on that specific day, Carnival would have been gone. Shorts would have taken the stock to zero the next day. Honest to God. Yeah, they reported, and looks like the stock might have been up a little off the quarter. It was abysmal, but the Fed, the only reason these things stop going lower is because the Fed, guys. The Fed and potential bailouts backstopped all this stuff. I'm telling you, it was 2008 all over again. Put sweepers and shorts would have took all these things down to zero. Now, upside, that's the question now. What's the potential upside here? Saudi funds, did they buy them or they were rumored to? Oh, they did. They did. Unbelievable. Yep. So yeah, then if you like the airline squeeze, like I said, I can't kill you for that. Even with AAL reporting, because it doesn't look like it matters much. I just don't take. I wouldn't chase green. There's enough sellers there. You understand? You don't want to do this. This is what you want to avoid. You don't want to chase this, okay, and then get caught in this, that type of thing. You know, so you want to hang out as close to that death as possible with these squeeze plays. You know, because like look at SDC, right? If you chased it, anytime it was green, you probably end up pulling the plug and stopping yourself out. If you bought it while it was dead, you might have just sat in it because it didn't do much, right? Like here was the first time it caught action. No, it was here, I think. This is, I think, the one time I played SDC and held it overnight. All right. If you chase this, you were dead. Okay. But even here, more so. You bought death, you know, you caught a pop. Even if you didn't sell it, it came right back to Death Valley and held. You know, but if you chase that, you're probably not in it. Yeah. You want to, exactly. You want to buy it when nobody's interested and it's dead. Just think of it as dead, and then you're betting that the sweeper activity is going to pump life into it, whether it's short covering or whatever the case may be. Costco was a $900,000 block, yeah. Oh, yeah. Forget the dollar amount. If that was a sweep, what was the month on that? On the Costco. What strike was it? What month? Just out of curiosity. If Costco catches, oh, it was short dated. If Costco catches a $900,000 sweep, I'm all over it. I played Costco off. I didn't play it off this action on the Friday. It caught it here, if you remember. This day, Friday. It ran Monday. I bought Costco right here off that action. And I think it was a $200,000 bet, something like that. If Costco catches a $900,000 missile, forget it. Sweep? Yeah. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. There's been some squeeze action in APA. I just honestly, Peter, I haven't really paid too much attention to the energy flow, but some of it's been doing okay. You know, there was enough action out there that I was ignoring all the energy action. I just wanted no part of it. But there's been a little bit of APA squeeze action. Today, Chevron caught some earnings action. That's the other thing. You have earnings in these things too. They may file bankruptcy. And yeah, they look okay again, but we've said that how many times? You know, we've said that so many times in these things. AAP, I sold it. It looks great. I sold it. Yeah, I sold, you know, a couple of these things like AAP, I thought I was going to hold longer. McDonald's, I thought I was going to hold longer. SE, I sold that. I think that reversed red today. I sold that. I thought I was going to hold longer. Nick, I rolled a piece into September's. But I sold the Junes yesterday and rolled a smaller piece into September's. The SE, you know, all the same reasons, guys. Like, look, SE, you had the Niner, right? And then you have earnings. So, like, even with time, I wasn't in the mood to give back potential profits if the upside might get difficult here, you know? And then it's a matter of do I want to take on this earnings risk or not? And, you know, as a whole, I had some nice profits in these things that I didn't want to ruin the money I made off this rally. You know, LVS, very similar. June, so I didn't have a lot of time. And you got Win that reports. And, you know, I didn't want to take the risk there either. They gave it to me. Yeah, Take-Two is the only one that I've sold, John, that I look like I made the right move for now. Everything else is higher than where I sold it. But same thing, Take-Two, I sold it right on that niner. Wait, Tuesday? Yeah, Friday. Right on that niner. So all these names, by the way, guys, all these names too, like if they catch post-earnings activity off a dip, I'm ready. I'm ready. You know, I like all these names. It's just I didn't want, you never know, right? Things look good now, earnings. I didn't want to give back profits. You know, I didn't want to give back profits. I'd rather reload, get through earnings, and then see where we're at. Apple, you know, it's all on earnings now. All these names, Sam, it's all earnings now. It's all the reaction to earnings for all these things. For all these things. You know, they're in breather mode. Maybe it's a good thing that they started breather mode already as they're getting ready to report. But, you know, you're in the hands of the earnings guys. So the way I look at them, any of these names you like, I would look for if they pull off earnings and catch some action. That's the only way I would look at these things right now. You know, for position trades. Same thing. Same thing. Gold has been strong, you know. Gold has been doing its thing. But I can't, we spoke about this. I'm not the right guy to ask about gold. You know, gold has, for the most part, been anti-risk on, you know, and there are times where gold and equities can rally at the same time, especially with the Fed doing what it's doing. But you have some risk tomorrow with the Fed. You always have risk with the Fed and gold. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Gold's tough. You know, gold's tough. You want to buy, same thing, for longer term, you want to buy it when nobody has it. You don't want to buy it when everyone's pooping their bloomers and rushing into gold. Yeah, as a hedge. That's exactly what I was trying to say. That's how I look at gold. You know what I mean? Now, the miners are a whole other story. And, you know, the same thing. They've been so strong. I'm just not a big miner guy, you know? But I'll tell you, this is the one that's been catching the best action of late in the miners. Wow, that's hot, though. That's a little hot up there. GOLD. They rotate. Sometimes it's like PAAS. Remember Puff Puff Pass? That would be the go-to name. You know, there's always a hot name. It's been this GOLD, Barrick Gold. That's been sweeper fave right now for quite a bit. Yeah, AG, we saw some, that's silver, right? Yep. We saw some flow recently there. Oh, that's the one. That's the one. But that's scorched too now up here. But that's the one. FNV. That's the one with the Sharpie sweeper activity in it. Where'd they buy it? Right here? Initially? I think it was right here. September calls. The first bet? or the second bet, G? There were two sweeps. Oh, the second was September calls. That was over here, I think, right? I think. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this name at all. This miner. I don't remember it being such a big mover. I knew it existed, but I don't remember this thing being such a mover like this. Like, look at this move. Psychotic. Yeah, it caught two really sharp-looking sweeps for a gold miner. Two of them. Boom, boom. So, but other than that, I'm not a big, I follow the flow there, but I'm not, I told you the last gold miner I had a full-size position in. I told you I haven't really played a gold miner for a position since. I had a nice size position in it. I bought it, and they warned about their earnings. The last thing that it wasn't even near my mind that I would get burnt on a gold miner on earnings. You know what I mean? It wasn't even a thought. And the gold miners caught fire, and this thing got killed because of earnings, and I lost my money. I could have thrown a dart at any other miner and made money. Because of earnings, Tree, I thought these things don't even have earnings, the majority of them. Yeah, no, Steve, that was just that one scenario, and I had a bad taste ever since. I'm just not active as far as positions, Sometimes I'll fool around, like quick trades and stuff. But I don't really take full-size position in gold miners. There's been flow to do it with. I just haven't. Like this FNV was a catalyst. The PAAS was a catalyst months ago. This gold, September's was a catalyst. I'm just not, they don't get me excited. For the reason you're saying, like, it's almost like you're better off making the GDX bet, because they're all going to move together. They should, unless they warn on their earnings. TGTXV, VSTM. I know VSTM. Oh, right back to where it started. What was it, FDA stuff? Yep. VSTM, I think I told you guys, they were loading up on those leaps for a long time, all here. Oops. They were buying leaps every week. Preliminary data failure. Yeah, that's the risk. For every one like this, I can show you 15 biotechs that have just gone bonkers. The amount of money that's been coming into biotech and healthcare is absurd. Absurd. That's why they're cooked. Absurd. That's another one I sold, by the way. BHVN. Oh, boy. This thing doesn't go down anymore. Today I said, it might have a down day. As soon as I open my mouth, it turned green. BHVN. You guys remember the action in this thing, right? A couple of us in the room played this thing twice. Here, caught action, and we sold into this. And then they hit it again here, and we sold it here. Right here? Yeah, right here, I think. Right there? That's 10 points ago. My God. Wow, Google is up 100? Oops. I hate that the daily doesn't show it. Wow. So what's going up with that? What names, it's taking everything higher or no? Well, you got AMD. Is AMD still soft? Not by much, though. Facebook, right? Yeah. It's going to be a little weird day tomorrow. You know? It's going to be a weird day. Do they follow through on the rotation, or does Google attract some money back the other way? Earnings a shit show. NVIDIA caught some nice action. But now, again, you're in the hands. Guys, there's nothing, no matter what I tell you guys, you want to hear something else. You're in the hands of the earnings gods now, with all these things, Kev. Like NVIDIA doesn't report till June, right? And I love NVIDIA. It's caught some really nice action, this whole rally. All right. But if somebody in semi-land, comes out and shits the bed, NVIDIA probably goes down with it. Now, if you're going to tell me, all right, if it goes down and it catches sweeper activity, I'm going to play it for a trade, then, that's a different story. But for a trade. But you can't chase heat in these things. It's not, the upside's not worth it, in my opinion. Unless you see more of a breather, it's not worth it yet. There's too much risk with earnings in these things. And just look like AMD. It's just their earnings weren't bad. This thing probably ends up being flat by when it's all said and done tomorrow. But this thing hardly budged. Like, for this thing to have meaningful upside off that earnings, they probably would have had to knock the cover off the ball. Yeah, MDB. Oops. Nah, that's not much of a pullback. That's actually, I think, where they hit it, no? Or right around. You got a niner there. Might get stuck a little here. Depends. It depends on tech. It depends on tech. But yeah, I like the action in it. You don't have earnings till June, but you would have to play something shorter than that for a trade. That's what I mean. They're all trades. So if you like it, you get some weakness, you're playing for a snapback trade. I don't think you can, if you're looking for more than that, you don't even have enough time without holding through earnings. SE got, just cooked a little bit here. If it pulls back and they hit it, I'm willing to buy it again. Yeah, TDOC, that thing's on fire, no? Jesus Christ. Earnings tomorrow? Wow. That would be interesting in this TDOC. This is just not, you guys know, this is not my can of corn, Like, I like, don't get me wrong, I like strength and I like quality names. That's the stuff you want to own, but you got to wait for pulls. Yeah, this is basically parabolic, right? That's basically what it is. Even Zoom, what's that been up to the last couple of days? I just stopped watching it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how quick this happened to Zoom, and it happened because of the virus. But this thing was having trouble, and nobody wanted this thing. Over here is where it caught action, and we were looking at it. We played it. I think this is where we sold it, actually. Whatever. But these things, this is why the sentiment, the short-term stuff we see hot, this is why. This is why. But like for these type of names, like you see Netflix, that's more constructive or becoming more constructive. Starting to come in nicely there. So, you see, you got a whole different, right? Now you get some digestion here, and all of a sudden, you got a cup and handle jammy jam. You know, and if you chase Netflix into the highs here, a cup and handle could be setting up, and you're talking to yourself if you chase the highs. You know, so that's what you wait for in these things, and you got to be ready to fire when they happen. Like exactly like this. Look at this pull. Guarantee you nobody wanted it off that pull. Oh, that was the virus pull? Oh, yeah, it held up because of stay-at-home play, right? Yeah, Tesla earnings, all earnings. It's all about earnings. Look at this thing, right off highs. Amazing. Yeah, Gunlock. All right, he tried to get some weakness. You know what it is, Ani? There's not enough sellers. Nobody's long. Nobody's long. That's the problem. You know what's scary too? I worry about things running away from me. That's what I worry about. Is PayPal. What about PayPal? Anybody catch that one for a short play? That action was nice. Anyway, I go from one thing to another. Here's what I wanted to show you guys quickly, and then we'll call it a night here. Where is it? So you see they did some covering yesterday. Probably with some covering into the morning this morning. We'll see. But since the pull started, that's a lot of shorties. Nice, Warrior. Very nice. So see, you got a lot of shorties here. Like what you usually see when they finally squeeze these shorts. We went over this. See this green line right here? This, you see it come crashing. Oops. You see the green line here? God, I'm the worst drawer in the world. Okay, you see how shorts started piling up? The purple line is the S&P 500. Okay, you see here, this was the correction in 2018, December. The market went into the lows, the shorties piled up, and then squeezed them. And there, officially squeezed. See, the line fell off the chart. It went south, the green line, down there. Look where it is here. You see that? That's what scares me. Like I look at the market and I look at everything around me and everybody with masks in their bunkers, locked in their homes, no ball games on. I'm pulling my hair out of my head and saying, how could this market go to new highs? You know, like how could that happen? How it could happen is, this is how it could happen. And the Fed is how it could happen. And what McElliott talked about today is how it could happen. So that's my fear. That's my fear. Now, I rather a methodical pace, kind of like what we had coming out of 2016, where the riffraff were short for months, and every dip got bought. The market didn't run away to the upside, but every pullback, boom, was a buy. Those are beauties because you don't chase. You understand? Sentiment, even short-term tactical sentiment, is a compass. It's a perfect guide. Sentiment gets too hot, put the guns in the holster. All right? Cools off, becomes favorable again, look for some entries. Like that's the type of rally you want to see. not the runaway rallies. The runaway rallies, when you get these runaway rallies, right, it's everything you bought is what you own. Like, those are your swing positions, right? Because if you don't want to chase, you run out of names pretty quick. But the methodical rallies, they keep the bears and the shorts involved, dips, the Woolworry climbing, that type of rally. That's the one you can get fat off of. You know, that's the one where you can make some money off of. The ones that run away, it's you look to, like Mick Elliott says, tree, right? Grabbing. You look to grab something, grab onto something, and hold on. Right, but the more methodical rallies, those are the ones that you can really, you know, get your hands on some positions and play and trade. You know, take profit, wait for a pull, look for other ideas. So that's what we want. That's what we want to see. I wonder if the chart. While I talk about that, let me show you what it looked like there quickly, just so you understand. What would it be under riffraff? Riffraff. I got keywords. Riffraff. Oh, I want to show you guys something. Oh, you saw this. I posted it on my regular Twitter. Riffraff. Raff. Look at this. Pro tip, shorting into bearish extreme riffraff sentiment. Yeah. October 16, 2018. Boom. That's classic. So hold on. Let me see where's all the other posts? Oh, here they are. You guys saw this? This we know already, but it just confirms what we've been looking at. Yep. Look at this. Specs short. This is just the S&P 500 futures. See, it's not make-believe. I'm not making this shit up. Excuse my French. Just one more thing I wanted to look at with you together. Let's see. And I want to show you guys what I mean by sitting there as opposed to that runaway rally. Let's see. Riffraff. A lot of good content under Riffraff, by the way, if you want to do a search. This doesn't go far back enough. So what I was trying to say is, what happens is, like, you see this up here where it is now? Okay. So in coming out of 2016, what happened, it was up here short. Okay. They got run over. So it came out. Then you get a little bit of a pullback, and then they get short again. Then they get run over. It comes out. Then you get another little pullback in the market. They get short again, looking for new lows. You know, and the song goes on until finally they give up. You know, but that could linger for months. And every dip, right? Every dip, these dips were all ops, all buying opportunities. So the same thing here. We see if the market stalls a little bit, let's say, hypothetically, comes over here, you get a little pullback, and then they go back into short. There's your entry. There's your squeeze entry. So that's what I mean by that methodical rally, as opposed to just, you know, boom. All right. If this market squeezes from here, you know, more upside, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to just sit there and take the beating for long? They're going to get out of here. So we'd rather not have that. We'd rather not have that. Yeah, it's just the way, it's the way, you know, we look at it, like we look at this, John, like just one little group of people, you know what I mean? Like they're just bad stock pickers. But that's the speculative crowd. You know, that's like all of us, how we would be feeling at that same exact moment without looking at any sentiment stuff. It's how everybody's wired. You know, and it takes, for some, it takes longer than it should, but it takes people a while to realize that this game doesn't work off the, you know, the handicapping you do, how much you know, or logic around you. You know, like I just said, I mean, the last couple of weeks, you look around what's been going on in the world, not even the country, things have been, I mean, on complete lockdown. Complete lockdown, right? And you got stocks that look like we were in the go-go days of 1999. But that's where you got to come to realize, to survive in this game, that all that stuff means absolutely zero. It means nothing to try to make money in this game. You know, but you know how many people, John, they think, oh, I'm just more homework. I'm going to do, you hear them on Twitter, I'm just going to do more homework, more homework. They don't realize they're making it even more difficult on themselves, doing more homework. That's more shit you're going to cloud your head with, more shit you're going to get wrapped up emotionally over, and more shit that's going to, right, study. That's it. That was the word I was looking for, Tree. Study. 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 The hell are you studying? Study. You can study your balance sheet all you want. It doesn't mean a damn thing when the Fed's firing a bazooka. Right? Study. Go study. Go ahead. Good luck to you. But that's, John, you know, that's what it is. You know, the riffraff is that. The riffraff is everybody, you know? And we are wired. When things go up, we feel bullish. When things go down, we feel bearish. That's just normal to feel that way. You know, normal to feel that way. Yeah, they play on emotion. Because what happens is they come into the game thinking they're going to bet on themselves. You understand? Where in reality, they have to learn how to bet against themselves to find success. You know what I mean? Like, that's the understanding they got to come to at some point. They think they're going to make a bet on themselves and be successful in this game. But very few are wired that way. You know, the opposite way of what I'm talking. And that's the small group of traders, really small group of traders who can come in and trade every day based off themselves. It's not an easy thing to do. It's a nearly impossible thing to do. Because we're more wrong than right. You know, we're more wrong than right. And when everybody agrees, they're almost always wrong. Amazon, let me see. Boogie and After Hours, because of Google, I guess. Todd? 45, 23.59. Yeah, so that's right in the thing there. That's just, all right, they're just ping pong. That's the play, my brothers and sisters. If you want to play these things tactically, that's the thing right now. You know, look to buy weakness and sell it into the chop or snapback, whatever you want to call it. That's all I see out of these things for now until we get through earnings. yeah, I'm going to wrap things up here anyway. Guys, always a pleasure. If you're new, welcome. Thanks for coming. Go to wallstreetjesus.com if you have any questions or want to learn a little more. All right? Otherwise, guys, stay safe. Good luck the rest of the week. The Fed mañana. Mr. Powell should be interesting. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.